If you're like me, you probably like making benches. I've got a number of them, right? That's my second Robot bench I made. And for those of you familiar with Bad Axe Toolworks, yeah, we've made a number of benches over the years. Here is a English workbench that my crew and I made under Mike Seamson's process, under his design. I like using these benches, these adjustive benches, for my seminars, right? But there's one bench I want to turn you on to today that I think you're going to really like. I made this Sawmaker's bench in 2015. I'm pretty fond of it. When I sold the company to the employees 2 years ago, it went with the sale. But basically, it is a timber frame pair of sawhorses, anywhere 4x6, 6x6 in dimension. And it occupies a compact footprint that you can take to a trade show. Not that you're going to go to, well, I mean, if you go to a trade show, if you're a Sawmaker, that's cool. But, this is a busy bench. This is Josh's bench now. And you can see where he's got a Sawmaker's vise on one end, right? We've got various tools of the trade that he actively uses hanging at different spots on the bench. All right. And here's a vise that we use to take sawbacks off, put them back on, mount them. Here is an accessory that we modify in order to hold handles when we're curving out handles, releasing a frozen saw nut. This bench can be used for a multitude of purposes when you have not much real estate to work with. And of course, you can sit here with your laptop and get things done there. Let's look at the most recent bench that I built. Is over here. I made this one out of home store quality 6x6 Southern Yellow Pine. And I got these pieces for less than $100. So you're not going to break the bank buying this stuff, and it's just as functional. This is Cass's workstation over at Bad Axe Toolworks. You can build up a little ramp on top, hang some pegboard, put your calendar on there, saws, favorite tools, etc. Mount one of my favorite face vices here, this old Morgan Tools vise. I just love old iron in the shop. And edge glue the lumber of your choice for the bench top. And you can either mount that using pegs as if you were timber framing it on, or just let it float and maybe even clamp it. It's not even necessary for it to be fastened. So all this knocks down quite easily. And, the pieces that don't come apart are obviously the drawboard timber framing construction of the two sawhorses. So in the next series of still photographs, I'm going to show you step by step how I made this bench, and I hope you get something out of it. So you're going to start by creating the two timber framed sawhorses, and all that are 4 posts, 4 feet, and 2 beams stretching across the pair of posts. After creating the posts and their tenons, I then create the mortises for the feet and for the beams. I then dry fit the posts to the feet and go through the drawbore process where I put everything together under clamping tension and create the holes. I make sure I create the slight offset on the tenon that will go into the mortise. Now it's time to craft the beam, the mortise joinery for the beam connecting the 2 posts and feet. This is a matter of making the joint as deep as you want, whether or not it's recessed, and then of course creating the holes for the pins you're about to make next. The best part about this whole project is using really cool hand tools. Now we're going to craft our pins with a Lion's Chuck Miller's Falls brace and an A.A. Woods spoke pointer. One of my favorite tools. This is so fun. Oh, here's one of my favorite tools. It's a A. Wood's spoke pointer. I mean, back from the 1800s. For all you tool geeks out there, it still has its 90% of its black Japanning. And here's a geeky thing, right? It's a Miller's Falls brace with a lion chuck. It's one of the more Mo-Betta tools out there. Anyway, I'm pointing pegs for the Sawbench build I'm doing this week. And it's just really cool. It's how you radius the corner top part of the peg so that it goes into the draw bore easily. With the draw bore, there's an offset hole, offset from the mortise hole. So I want it to slip in. A little bit of candle wax gets you everywhere with this. But the spoke pointer helps. So here's the finished product. Cut up enough pins to join everything together, because now we're going to dry fit our posts to our feet, and we're going to start whacking those pins in. All right, here we go. Yep, this is one of my favorite things right here. Got to knock that. You just whack it in. Using this Crucible lump hammer, I'm kind of pleased with this tool. I mean, check this thing out, right? It's got some ass to it. All right, and here we go. Draw boring a 1-inch peg into Southern Yellow Pine, holding this thing together. Yeah, I glued it. It's not coming apart. And so here's the fun part, is just connecting everything together. It's a very simple bench, 2 timber-framed sawhorses, and a big rectangle of wood that you've made for the bench top. I typically like mine to be about 30 inches deep, and that can either float or you can pin that onto the 2 sawhorses. At any event, make it able to break down easily, transport it, take it to a show, move it from point A to point B, do whatever you want with it. But this timber-framed Sawmaker's bench is a great way to minimize your footprint when you have not much space to begin with, and it's just a great workstation. We have a number of these at the Bad Axe Workshop. Thanks for listening.